So I've decided to start a blog, and following another person's example I've seen, he seems to be having a lot of fun. That I could maybe share a little bit of my knowledge of what I've learned about shooting with certain cameras, and that being with still photography and video, and the years that I've figured out color science and that kind of stuff. So what really intrigued me about the DVX200 was its ability to have two cards slot. That's huge. That's good. It's also a camera that has the ability to run and gun, out of the bag, get going in a minute. Just pull it out, turn it on, and go. Wonderful. So with DSLRs, when shooting with the DSLR, lots of little pieces. While these cameras are great, I love Sony. This is being shot with the FDR AX100 Sony camera, which is a 4K camera and is relatively small, but it's a video camera. What I love about this camera is I can pull it out and shoot, put it away, not worry about little pieces being lost, because something like this might cost me 25, goodness knows, $50 to replace. So that's painful, that's annoying. Now with the FDR AX100, it's a great camera that can shoot all day, and you don't have to worry, because with a couple of batteries, it's not going to overheat. It's never going to overheat because it has proper venting. Unlike Sony cameras, which are great, these are wonderful because they're discreet at hiding in location, and they allow me to get very good quality with a very small footprint. And as well, I can just put them away, and they're lightweight and lovely. But they're not a video camera, for the fact, like I mentioned, that you can't shoot 6 hours. These things will overheat after 20 minutes or half an hour in the sun. So if I'm shooting outside a wedding, I have to be darn sure that these are in the shade, or I'm not going to even get half an hour with them. Great, wonderful quality, but you have to be careful with these. Even the A6300, which is not really meant to be a pro-level camera, and the A7Rs, all of them, these cameras can overheat because they were designed to be still photography cameras first, with the ability to shoot half an hour. Now, while this is great that we have the opportunity to do this kind of stuff on such a relatively well-priced camera, it's not a true video camera in the respect that it can shoot for 6 hours like a workhorse all day long. It can, but there is the opportunity for you to miss crucial video footage, and as a shooting professional, you can't afford to do that. We recently purchased the Panasonic DVX200. So this is a bit of a beast of a camera. It's got a Leica Dicomar integrated lens, and that some people might say, oh gee, you're buying a video camera with a fixed lens, and you go with this camera because it's a traditional video camera that you can pull out of the case, and it can go down to f2.8. That's enough bokeh. Absolutely enough bokeh for doing any work. It's got an incredible ability to macro focus at literally the distance of not even outside the hood of the camera. You can lock focus. And for doing a ring shot, doing bokeh with bouquets, a bouquet of flowers, wonderful. And yet, because it's a 1-inch micro four thirds sensor, you're getting enough bokeh for these kind of things, but it will lock focus manually. You can do peaking, and it will be a lot easier than using even an APC sized sensor. And it's a good bridge between being a large sensor and not too large a sensor, that by the end of the day, when using a full frame, or even, as I mentioned, an APC, pulling manual focus with peaking mode can really be stressful and tedious. It can be fun, but do it for 12 hours straight and it can turn into something else. So in low light, peaking can be problematic too. You have to be really careful. This camera is a dream to use. It is built with the DVX moniker for a reason. It replaces the DVX100, which was the first Panasonic camera, the first video camera available for professionals to shoot progressive video. So that it has a decent moniker to live up to. Pedigree. What we're seeing with this camera is that it's getting a lot of firmware updates. It's received, I'd say, within the past 6 months, at least 5, maybe 6 firmware updates. That's phenomenal. But they've updated the firmware, and they've not simply just updated the firmware for this thing for a huge color upgrade, but they've actually given Barry Green, who wrote the book on this camera, the manual for this camera, which Panasonic said, hey, we're going to give away a copy of this to everybody for free who owns the camera. Fabulous. But they've also got a whole bunch of videos now, that video Barry Green's put up, of how to use the camera, how to use the new scene files that he supplies. There are 18 custom scene files that you can use with this camera for shooting in a variety of different ways. He calls them like from Hollywood or comedy or drama to shooting more accurately or shooting like the PX270, I believe, and certain other scenarios as well. 18 in all. I mean, that's remarkable. I mean, they're really behind this camera to improve the ways that you can paint color and end up with something with many options after the fact. And shooting in Vlog, wow, you can really have the latitude, even with the SD cards. And people will say, well, 440, I don't know, 8-bit. But really, it has the dynamic range of 12 plus stops. Really, really more than 12. If you're slightly, I like to shoot, like half a stop under, or maybe a couple of decibels under what would be adequate, so that I have the room to protect my highlights. And you can do that as well. You can do dynamic stretching with this camera. There's a DRS 1, 2, and 3 setting function, so that you can stretch the shadows and the lights to really get a flatter picture as well, so that in post you can push. And you can do that with Scene File 6. I like Scene File 6 for that fact, is that it's not Vlog, but it's still something that I can push and post and do very quickly with my workflow. Wonderful camera. A bit of a beast, but with video, weight is a good thing. You want to have a camera that weighs more than a couple of ounces, because with a smaller camera, it's too easy to get jarring video, not stable video. And with the hybrid focusing system that has an optical and mechanically optical lens that's stabilized with a ball gear assembly, and as well the sensor that software stabilizes the rest of the video in full HD mode, it's spectacular. I can literally zoom all the way out and get somebody which will look, if this is held against my body tightly with the proper method where you've got your arms up, so it's a 3-point stabilized method, you're gonna get near tripod stability. Not completely, but good enough that it's not gonna bother people and it's not gonna look like Blair Witch where it's making people sick. Anyhow, so let's get a look at these scene profiles that Barry Green's provided for us. So I don't know if you can see this, but on the YouTube website, if you go to the Panasonic Pro Video channel that Barry Green's doing right now, under the number 3 video, Scene Files by Barry Green, he has a wonderful link about how the scene files work with this camera that you can customize and put on a memory card. So you can actually set up custom scene profiles that you can make, and there's a whole bunch of scene profiles that he provides. The link he has at the end of the video, but it's not a clickable link, so what I've done is I have put a link at the bottom in comments that he put in the video that is not clickable. So you'll easily be able to download the zip file. Download the zip file to your computer and take the private file. There's one private file in there. Pull that, put that onto an SD card from your camera. Format your camera first, and then put the private file from the scene file folder that you've unzipped from the link that I've mentioned, and you can put it onto your card. So what we need to do is go into scene file, and we'll go load. Then we'll click into one of these, scene file 2, because scene file 1 is left empty, because we can customize those. We want our customized files loaded into scene file 1. That's what Barry's left open for us to use. So we can click all and loaded automatically. Done. So that's my first run at today's vlog. And we've got this lovely, lovely springtime day. Freezing rain and snow. Lovely. And March 24th. Gotta love it.